This is Ryan Lemon from Kentucky Sports Radio, and you're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast.
All right, we want to say shout out to our sponsors, Watchman Cigars, 1812 Barbecue, Blue Collar's Cycle Shop, Hook, Line, and Heroes, and our new sponsor, Words of Hope. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Words of Hope. If you're like us, it's hard to get our time in the Word, and that's where Words of Hope comes into play. Words of Hope is a daily devotional podcast. They bring a few minutes of comfort and hope to your day. Each episode will include a passage of Scripture and a thoughtful reflection. And at only 5 minutes long, you can listen anytime and anywhere. Words of Hope is available wherever podcasts are sold. Also, just a personal note, I've been listening to the Words of Hope podcast. Every morning I go out on the patio, enjoy my nice cup of coffee. Right now they're going through some scriptures from Solomon. It's been really helpful. So just want to say shout out and thank you to our friends from Words of Hope. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it's our take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, while you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from our blue-collar cycle bunkers right here in beautiful Concord, North Carolina. We've got a great show lined up for you, as always. But before we begin, let me introduce you to our starting lineup. Magic Man is behind the video camera. What's up, Magic Man?
Hey, y'all. How's everybody doing?
Hey, buddy. Thanks for tuning in and joining us and getting all this stuff ready to go. We want to say shout out to our producer, Brian. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
I, of course, be your host, Biggun, and our illustrious co-host, also, again, listen, he is living in America. He is living his free rights to be able to work hard as he wants to, as long as he's an essential worker, he's allowed to do work. So he is out doing some fantastic work for Blue Collar Cycle Studios. You can get the cha-ching right there. That'd be great.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, come on, Brian.
There it is.
Hey, I was a little slow with the logo, so yeah.
That sound is saved for the Biggun Stock Tick of the Week. That's trademarked for that segment now. So I got to use something else. Right. This is probably more like Mojo's segment here. That's more his sound, I think.
Ouch. How about you? I'm going to ask you guys, well, let me first start off. I'm a little disappointed in our listeners. Guys, I'm trying to fill the RV board of new listeners from New Hampshire, Vermont, Delaware, West Virginia, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, and Alaska. And we have yet to get anybody to listen from those states. The RVs, where they have the big map, the big U.S. map, and then everywhere they go, they fill in the color. Well, we can see who listens to our show based on where they live, geography. And we have yet to get anybody from those states. So if you know somebody from those states and they tag you and they say, I've listened to, and tag us, Southern Fried Philosophy, thanks to whomever, I'll give you a hat. One of these handy-dandy Southern Fried hats I've got right here. Podcast listeners are loving them. But yeah, you can get a handy-dandy Southern Fried hat. Again, New Hampshire, Vermont, Delaware, West Virginia, North, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Alaska. I need you guys to pull through. Southern Fried listeners, I need you to pull through. It makes me sad. Let me ask you guys, like I ask you every week, how you be doing? Magic Man.
I've had a little bit of a tummy ache today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, started about 2 o'clock, working from home.
Tell me.
And got kind of bad around dinner time and napped a little bit and ate some graham crackers, and I seem to be doing a little bit better now.
Oh, so if you, at any point, need to run for the hills, we understand. Just put it on, hide your camera.
Yeah.
So we don't see anything that might be
autopilot
projecting
or something.
out.
I don't want to gross anybody out.
Don't take the laptop with you.
Good point.
Very good point.
Producer Brian, how you doing?
Oh, I'm really good. I had a brilliant idea earlier this week.
Okay.
I just need to share it with you guys. So
come on,
Monday night, so Monday was May the 4th. It was a Star Wars day or whatever. So about 9 o'clock at night, I'm sitting down to watch a Star Wars movie because that's what you're supposed to do, apparently.
Okay.
And I have my 1 pound bucket of pork rinds ready to start snacking, and I get this epiphany when I start eating my pork rinds. Why has no one made Cheeto flavored pork rind?
Oh,
have you guys seen that? Is that a thing? Because if it's not, I feel like that would be delicious.
Of course,
like cheese, like the powdered cheese on a pork rind, right?
Mm-hmm. I got you.
There's lots of flavors, but
putting down.
Yeah, so maybe it's because the Cheeto, maybe cheese flavored would be the better. Because Cheetos ain't doing that; it's too expensive to use actual.
Listen, you know why? Because Taco Bell is in cahoots with like the Doritos and the Cheez-Its and all of those people. Because by goodness, there will be a Cheez-It shell coming out of Taco Bell, and maybe there's exclusivity rights. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I would do a Doritos Locos pork rind too. That's right up there with it. Cheese. Basically, I think I have a solution to this already. I'm gonna go get the cheese powder for your popcorn.
Oh yeah,
and just put that on my pork rinds.
Now,
I'm going to start selling it in bags at like flea markets or something.
Oh, or Etsy. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, okay. Is there FDA regulations on that?
No, not on Etsy. It's
selling
a free.
Bags,
it's
Cheetos,
the wild west of the free market out in Etsy. I will say I picked up some Buffalo Ranch seasoning, which that might be good on it as well.
Buffalo? Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
there was, I think, was it Lay's or it was Lance made chips. Lance doesn't do chips a lot, but they had a Buffalo Ranch potato chip that was so intense. There was no chip flavor. It was all like powdered flavor. It was so intense and strong.
Wow. I remember when we were in India.
When you said that.
In India, Ruffles, maybe it's Lay's, has a marsala flavored chip. And hey, buddy, that was delicious.
Is it good?
We actually have 2 bags still back there. We still have yet to open because we wanted to save it for a special occasion.
This might be a little chewy.
By now. Yeah, they may be. Guys, let me share a little story of how I'm doing. We've documented on the show many times where I've had issues with squirrels. Squirrels have been coming in the attic. They've been in and out. They've chewed our electrical wire out. They've chewed our insulation out. They've literally stopped the power at our house multiple times. Squirrels are an issue in the Biggun household. Now we've got an issue with bees, and it's turning into a big thing. And they're honeybees. We had our friends from Killingworth come out. They are our pest control people. They've sprayed. That's done no avail. We waited this morning. I had our handyman come by, and he caulked up at the very top of the chimney where they're getting in. It's the wood part right by the chimney. So they were getting in there. Guys, and so I thought, hey, we're going to seal them up. They're not going to be able to go anywhere. They're going to die. I come back a few hours later. Dude, they have multiplied. It is a giant nest up there. And I don't know what to do. And then our handyman looked down and he laughed and he said, might want to get you some of those murder hornets.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's got to be the solution.
Yeah. So what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to rip up. My house is 112 years old. They're going to have to rip off some of the siding of the house to get to this honeycomb, and we're not going to be able to find the same wood. So we're going to have to like piecemeal it back because they're not going to care.
Just get your neighbor, get some from your neighbor's house or something.
Well, you would think. But guys, for a minute, I thought, how can I get a hold of these these murder hornets? Because evidently they're only supposed to kill other bees, namely honeybees.
I think they sting people also.
Do they?
A little
and mice.
Yeah.
I mean, if
in Japan,
if I got the package from Wuhan, China, because evidently I guess that's where you get it. Open up the package, and then this little bee comes out. He's gonna see, or this hornet. He's gonna see all of these bees, and his little hornet eyes are gonna look like I look when I walk into like an all-you-can-eat buffet and I haven't eaten 2 days. Like, oh, buddy, here's on. Here we go.
Have you seen a picture of these things? Have you seen the murder hornet?
Well, I've seen the head of it. It looks a little dangerous. No.
Yeah, they're like the size of my thumb, I think.
Oh,
too.
they're that big?
They're big.
They're 2 inches long, and their stinger's like a quarter of an inch long.
That sounds like a personal problem, Ryan, and this is a family show. So how about you? So, like, I don't know what to do. So I'm calling the bee guy. Evidently now I've got bee guys I got to worry about.
Well, the bee guy, so with honeybees, if you find the queen and relocate the queen, they'll all follow.
That's typical. I feel like that's like
the trick. But you gotta find Big Mama and
Big Mama
take her somewhere else. Yeah, and
yeah,
just get them out of the house. Basically, that's the science, I guess, behind it. They'll go wherever the queen is. So, but you have to like tear the house down to find the queen. Probably
that's the problem.
Hey, at least you didn't go blind trying to spray them.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. How was your ant problem? I mean, our listeners are loving our insect problems.
That's the spring. That's what people deal with. I had the pest man out last week.
Was it killing
so I've seen a lot more dead ants. I haven't been out of the garage. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, the ones that fell on my son were dead within 5 minutes of the incident. So.
Oh. I couldn't imagine. That'd be awful. All right, Producer Brian, I want you to tell our folks about the SFP Bingo. In case you haven't heard, you haven't listened to the show, you don't know what's going on, we'll repost it. But SFP Bingo, can we talk about that in a sec?
Yep. So SFP Bingo, I lost it, but I've got it here somewhere. Maybe. Anyway, I'll put it up and I'll find it here. I made a bingo chart because, everyone's playing quarantine bingo right now on Instagram and Facebook. So I figured we need to jump on the bandwagon.
Why not?
So what I did is I spent hours and hours and hours.
I've seen it.
Putting this thing together.
Documented. He's charged me for this.
Yeah, I sent Biggun a timesheet for this. But no one's, I guess, talking about it or
nobody. I have got nothing.
Nothing. So either it's too hard, and you haven't got bingo yet.
Maybe.
Possible because I don't think it's easy to do.
And so if you or one of us do any one of the squares, then you can check it off your list, right? Is that how it works?
Exactly. So if you're listening, and for example, last week there were some bottles that got killed on the show. That was a square. Mojo swore
that was a square.
That was a square
multiple times. Yep.
Yeah, I think I only caught one on censoring things, but
there's that.
Let's see. I'm gonna pull a sheet up here. I finally found it. Maybe. Hey, there it is.
Again, our podcast listeners are loving it. While you're doing that, I also want to say, if you are a podcast listener and you're watching right now, please just still go back and listen to the episode because our numbers kind of took a little bit of a downturn. So because I think people are watching it on here and be like, well, I don't have to listen to it. Don't listen to it.
It sounds way better.
Yeah, it does sound way better for one. 2, if you slow it down, we sound really drunk and it's really funny. So you could do it that way. Or, whatever. I don't care whatever you do. Just listen to the show so our numbers still continue to go up. All right.
Yeah, so like what I do is I listen to about 5 minutes every week and then I delete it. So
there you go. That's all you got to do.
That counts.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes, I put the bingo up here. So this week, go to Bojangles, get some biscuits and gravy. Let's check that. That's a check mark.
That's not hard. That's not hard.
That's not hard.
Go anywhere and buy you some biscuits and gravy.
Come on, guys.
Make a meatloaf.
I love that Magic Man gets disconnected.
I love that Magic Man's getting tickled at the bingo that he's supposed to be playing.
Yeah. Hey, I was never good about doing homework in school anyway, so,
Right. So this is your all's homework. Do the SFP bingo. All you have to do, then, listen.
So, one of the squares says, listen to the podcast, right?
Done.
I think if you're watching,
already
that
done
counts.
with that one. It's like a free square.
We have a special guest tonight.
Yeah, we do.
That's one.
Maybe
right
that's
there.
what's holding everybody
up. Is that it?
And again, it's just
maybe.
It's just 5 squares. You don't have to. It's not a blackout. You don't have to do all of them. Just do like 5 in a row.
I think it's doable.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, and we don't have Mojo tonight, so there's a couple of these we can't really do. But
yeah, go
I
sideways.
think it's definitely could happen.
Once you get bingo,
produce bag.
Once you get bingo, just put bingo in either Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Tag us, and guess what? You'll get one of these handy dandy hats. So boom,
comfortable.
I mean, they really are comfortable. All right, let's go into some wacky news brought to you by 1812 Barbecue. Our friends at 1812 Barbecue. Our friends at 1812 Barbecue doing a fantastic job of kicking out some quality barbecue, fantastic sides, delicious desserts. Check out our friends at 1812 Barbecue. Our wacky news, let me also say, I'll just put it under the wacky news, is Biggun stock tip of the week.
That counts.
Is that
Ka-ching.
JT messed up? There we go. You're fired. There we go.
Is that what you want?
There we go. So this week, again, just reiterate, Biggun's been getting into the stock market just ever so slightly, just for fun, because there's no sports, there's nothing for me to do. So I just watch the little ticker go up and down all day, and I really enjoy that. So tonight's stock tip is, I had it.
How do you say that? Adaptimmune Therapeutics?
Adaptimmune Therapeutics.
Yeah.
Adaptimmune. They engage in the development.
What's their abbreviation?
Oh, ADAP. Adapt.
There you go. That's way easier to
type. There you go. They engage in the development of novel cancer immunity products specified for peptide enhancement, affinity receptor platform. It enables the engineering of T cells to target and destroy cancer, including solid tumors. So these guys, I bought 10 shares at a whopping $3. My hot tip of the week is the Adaptimmune Therapeutic, which is now at an astounding $3.57.
Went up.
Guys,
that's the right direction.
That's a return of 8%, 8.18%. Take that.
Hey. Better what you get in a savings account.
I am so bad at the stock
right.
thing, guys. But I love doing it. Do you guys watch any of it, like going up or down or anything?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. My dad, when I was growing up, would have us pull it out of the newspaper and stick it in a spreadsheet. This is in the early 90s, so pull it from a newspaper, put it in a spreadsheet because he invested some of our some money into some mutual funds and such for our college education.
Wow, how did that pay off?
Paid for my college.
I'm getting up.
And I went.
Did it really?
And I went 5.5 years. So
What?
Mm-hmm. I was almost on my way to Van Wilder status.
How about you?
But really?
I was a super senior.
Like, okay.
Producer Brian, you've got 2
Van
kids.
Wilder, like his, you're talking about his educational status, not his.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of his status.
We don't want to talk about that part. So, let's go to
Is there a bulldog around there somewhere?
Wait, what?
Never mind.
The 1812 barbecue story started over 20 years ago when Eric and his dad started entering local barbecue competitions for fun. During that time, Eric, a United States Marine, has traveled all over the world picking up flavors and techniques that today is the unique flavor of the award-winning 1812 barbecue. He has honed his craft to bring you fall-off-the-bone pulled pork, mouth-watering ribs, and finely crafted beef brisket. Eric has developed his own amazing dry rub and delicious barbecue sauce. And let's not forget the sides: coleslaw, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, cowboy baked beans, and to top it all off, banana pudding and pecan pie for dessert. Getting hungry yet? Good. Call or email Eric at 1812 BBQ and he can make your next catered meal happen. Wedding and graduation parties, family reunions, and other events will be memorable with 1812 BBQ. Want to try your own hand at smoking meats? Pick up your own 1812 dry rub and start the journey for yourself. Shipping all over the world, connect with Eric on his Facebook page, Instagram at 1812 BBQ, or call 704-604-5148, or email Eric at eric.line@1812barbecue.com, and he'll be glad to help any way he can. Wacky news. I don't know if you guys saw the headlines, but we talked about Tiger King, the Netflix documentary, extensively on the show. Now they're making a scripted version starring, get this, Nicolas Cage. What? It's going to be an 8... Producer Brian's got a tiger in his background. Watch out. Hey, shh. There's one over your shoulder. Don't move. I think it's looking at you. Your face. But Nick Cage playing Joe Exotic. Is there anybody more perfect than that for that role?
For Joe Exotic.
Nick
Cage. I mean, when's the last time he made a movie? That's
1964.
I feel like this movie got made already. And it was called Joe Dirt.
That's right.
I mean, if you look at, like, David Spade was the perfect, like, white trash redneck. Like, he played that part.
Yeah.
Like, so perfectly.
That was probably the best character he's ever played, in my opinion, of all the ones he did. I mean, Tommy Boy was good, but this was...
Tommy Boy. Bees!
I love me some Tommy Boy.
Oh, I need to get that. That's the sound effect I need to find, is the Tommy Boy bees.
Bees. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Nick Cage, he always has... he tends to... Not to the extent of William Shatner, but, he gets very into his acting. So, it'd be interesting to see him say, go after the tiger.
How far do you think he's going to take?
You know what? This is going to. You could also call this Con Air 2, right? I mean, you guys saw that movie, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's played like a country boy ranger.
Yeah.
I've watched that movie so many times, but
you're right. He does. Terrible. I mean, Nick Cage, when he decides that he's going to do a role, hey, buddy, he goes for it. Do you think he's going to switch sides for this, just for a little bit?
Well,
I mean, that's kind of the role, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go that far. Maybe a smooch or something, but that's about it.
Cool. Yeah. How about you? All right. Well, we do want to say thank you to our sponsor, Hook, Line, and Heroes. We do not have any hot topics tonight because we are going straight into our guest. And as he's getting ready to join, he's in the bullpen. He's getting warmed up. Let me just say, we've also documented my fascination with people. Like, I get really scared when I see like a celebrity coming on. Like, I just get nervous and twitchy and things like that. So Ryan Lemond is our guest this week, and I can't think of somebody that I look up to. I listen to every single day than Ryan Lemond. Him and Matt Jones, Drew Franklin, and Shannon the Dude, they kick off one of the top-rated sports talk shows in the country. It's called Kentucky Sports Radio, and I've listened to the show faithfully for at least 6 years. In fact, I listened to him so much that our little foster baby, I can say that there's Uncle Matt and Uncle Ryan and Uncle Drew, because for the first long while, they heard their voices more than they heard mine, because I would just play them in the background and just try to let her sleep. So she actually has heard Uncle Ryan's voice for the first couple months more than mine. So, so Ryan, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know we kind of talked about you coming on the show earlier. So what happened with that? I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember you'd reached out to me and I agreed to do it. And then I realized the day that we had talked about doing it, I was actually going to be in Nashville. It was the week of the SEC tournament. And I said, hey, man, I can't do it. I'm going to be in Nashville that week. And then lo and behold, the earth comes to a screeching halt. We stopped for the pandemic. And now here we are, 2 months later, and we finally get together. So I'm glad it worked out. Glad to join you guys this time.
Yes, sir. And Ryan, you've gave us a shout out on the show a couple of times. So again, just want to say thank you so much for doing that. We really, I love what you do. I base most of this podcast on the stuff that you guys do. And I've always loved podcasting. I've always loved radio. And honestly, like, your job is my dream job. And what you guys do, I love the fact that it means a lot to you guys, but it also just impacts the state of Kentucky and all across the world. So, again, thank you so much. So I'm going to ramble a lot because I can't believe you're actually on the show.
Well, it's like, as you know, if you listen, the show is titled Kentucky Sports Radio,
right?
But most of the show, we don't talk about sports. We're going to talk about everything else but sports most of the time. It's just really more of just an entertainment show. It's just like us guys right now tonight is just sitting around talking about topics, just having fun, hanging around, the dinner table, the coffee table, whatever, just having a drink or whatever, just sitting around just talking whatever normal guys would talk about. It's not necessarily a sports show, even though it does center around UK basketball, UK football. I see your big UK sign back there behind you. So, that's kind of maybe the core of the show and what we talk about, but it's not a sports show. Right. It's more of just an entertainment show, but for sure.
Ryan, what you said, a bunch of guys just sitting around drinking. Are you drinking anything right now?
Not at the moment. I have a drink downstairs. That's not a bad boy.
Do you need to go get some?
I realized what time it was, and I ran upstairs real fast to get going, and I left it downstairs. Yeah. Maybe I'll text my wife and have her, praise you. Yeah. Praise you. Yes. Yeah.
Ryan,
I'll send my wife a text and have her bring it up here from me.
Yeah.
You guys got the hard stuff. See, I'm more of a beer and a margarita guy. I'm not a bourbon guy or a whiskey guy. I'm a wussy, more of a pansy guy.
Ryan, do I have to remind you? You live in Kentucky, by the way.
I know. My wife loves bourbon. She'll drink it, and my dad. I admit I'm strictly a beer and a margarita guy. I'm more of a wussy guy.
Do you like the craft beer?
I'm really surprised they don't have bourbon in the taps at like McDonald's in Kentucky or something.
I mean, right? Hey, listen, Matt Jones getting a Diet Coke with bourbon inside it. Now that would be something.
That's sacrilegious, isn't it? Yeah, you mix a bourbon with Diet Coke. You do that in Kentucky, they're going to just escort you right out of the state and straight up into Indiana where you belong.
Well, Ryan, I'm very familiar with you, but not all of our listeners are. Can you tell us a little bit of your career, how you got into media, and then how you got involved into KSR?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Indiana. That's why I make fun of it all the time. My dad was a high school basketball coach in Southern Indiana, so I grew up, going to the gym from the time I could walk. Played high school basketball for my dad for 3 years, which was like one of the highlights of my life. We weren't very good, but I wouldn't have traded those 3 years for anything, and it was awesome playing for my dad. I was actually a better baseball player, so I went to Kentucky Wesleyan and played baseball there, and that's why I kind of migrated into Kentucky. Became a communications major while I was in college at Kentucky Wesleyan, and I did an internship at a TV station in Evansville, Indiana, which is just right across the river from Owensboro, and that's when I fell in love with TV. Okay. So actually, I was in the TV business for 18 years. I was a sports anchor in Evansville, Indiana for 6 years, doing weekend sports. And then I got the main job at Channel 18 in Lexington in 1996, which was just perfect timing on my part. You know, I come here in 96 and they win the national championship in 96, go to the championship game in 97, win the championship in 98. Tim Couch takes him to the Outback Bowl, It's just like bam, 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 bam. So I've been here ever since January of 96. Stayed at Channel 18 in TV for 12 years. Went through a divorce, got remarried. We adopted 2 boys. And so now I've got 3 boys. I'm working nights. I've been working nights for 18 years. I've been working weekends. When you're in sports, you're working every night, every weekend. I've got 3 boys. They're playing sports. And I was just burned out and just worn out. I just wanted to try to be a family guy. Mm-hmm. So I went into real estate, became a realtor, and got out of TV. And I did that for about 3 years. And Matt called me out of the blue and just says, "Hey, man, I need somebody just to fill in for me on one day. Mark Krebs is off. Mark Krebs is doing the radio show with him. And Mark's off for one day. Can you come in and fill in for him on one day?"
Oh, wow.
I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm not doing anything. I can come in and fill in." I'm not kidding you. The next week, Perrin Johnson, who was doing the radio show with him, like I think Mark Krebs did Monday, Tuesday. Perrin Johnson did Wednesday, Thursday. And then Easy did Friday with him. He said, "Man, Perrin's off this one day next week. Can you come in and do one day for Perrin?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'll come in and do one day." I'm not kidding. Like a couple weeks later, he goes, "Man, you're not going to believe this. Mark Krebs he's leaving me. He's like, he's going to New Orleans and he's going to do this movie. Are you interested at all in doing like Monday and Tuesday, like permanently? I mean, you'll pay you." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'll do Monday, Tuesday." Not kidding you. A couple weeks after that, Perrin Johnson gets a new job and leaves. He goes, "Man, Perrin's leaving me now." So just in a matter of like 2 months, I went from filling in on one day to doing the whole week. He just gave me the whole week doing the job. And that's when he was just on in Louisville. The show was only on in Louisville. And then they finally got on here in Lexington, where I live. And then that's where the show just took off. We just started getting on all these other affiliates all across the state. And it took off like nobody could have predicted. I mean, nobody could have thought it was going to take off the way it did. Now, by the way, I'm still a realtor. Mm-hmm. So look, if you want to move back to Kentucky and you want to buy a house, I know a real good realtor that can help you. So, it's perfect for me because I can do the radio show from 10 to 12, and then I can still do my real estate stuff the rest of the day. Nobody's looking at houses in the morning anyway, so I can, and then I can still go to all my son's games. I can still go to all my son's practices. My 2 older boys, they don't play anymore. They're older, but my youngest son's a 7th grader, and he's actually a really good basketball player. So I can take him to practice. I can go to his games. And it's God has blessed me in the fact that it's worked out perfect that the KSR allows me to kind of do the things I want to do professionally and as a dad right now in life.
That's fantastic. I will say my dream is to retire in Kentucky, Lexington. I would love Versailles. Just an old nice house, maybe to turn it into an Airbnb. So when it happens, I'm calling you, Ryan.
Yeah, I know a real good realtor that can help you out and find you that perfect house. Yeah.
Ryan, if somebody lives in Kentucky and listens to the show, where can they get a hold of you?
Well, surprisingly, most of the people that listen to the show have my phone number already.
Yeah. That is true.
But it's easy. All you got to do is Google my name and realtor, and my number is going to show up. I mean, people act like it's a big secret, my phone number, but the fact that I'm a realtor, my phone number is really easy. Look, I'm going to show you something. Okay. Look who's calling me right now. Can you see that?
It's white.
Can you see who's calling me?
John Shorts.
John Shorts calling me right now. He'll just call me out of the blue sometimes.
That's so funny. And John Short is a frequent caller to Kentucky Sports Radio, and bless his heart, he is one of the sweetest men that I've heard, at least over the air. Just got a great heart.
You know why he's calling me, don't you?
Why is that? He
knows we're giving away Mountain Dew tomorrow, and he wants to know where we're going to be tomorrow because he wants to come get free Mountain Dew. That's why he's calling.
That's that Bartle ski.
Well, I tell you what. Oh, yeah, ski.
Bartle ski.
What about you? But you don't like ski and you don't like L8, do you?
Me?
Right.
I think L8 is one of the most disgusting drinks ever been created or invented. I think it's nasty. I hope I'm not offending any of you guys, but I think it is nasty.
What about ski?
I'll drink ski. I'll drink ski or drop or any of that other stuff that they make. But I think L8 is disgusting. I think Kentucky's two most iconic drinks, I think, are disgusting. The mint julep and L8-1 are both disgusting.
Wow. How about you?
No, hot take.
Hot take. There it is. I'm going to start part of this interview by a way that you've never had an interview done before. I'm going to tell you about me. So Ryan, when I was about 8 hours old, there's a picture right somewhere around, I think around there. You can see on the screen. And I am 8 hours old, and I have got a Kentucky jersey on as an 8-hour-old baby. I was born blue, bleeding blue. We moved from, I was born in Florida, moved to St. Louis, moved back to Florida. And the whole time, my dad would listen to Kentucky basketball games, and we would have to go to the local mall because it was just high enough where we got a good signal from 1080. So we would listen to basketball games in the car in Florida. Then I got smart and I decided I'm going to move to college and I'm going to go in Kentucky. I really wanted to go to UK. My grandma lives in Campbellsville. So I went to school at Campbellsville University. And I fell in love with Kentucky. At that moment, like I was always a Kentucky basketball fan, but there is something about that state that I just can't shake. My grandfather preached from Pikeville, Hickman, all over the state. He ended up in Columbia, not far from where ski is actually made. And so he traveled all over Kentucky. What is it about Kentucky that just is almost perfect?
You know, you and I are both not born here. You know, I was born in Indiana. I was raised in Indiana. And there is something about Kentucky. It's the natural beauty. It grabs you, but it's the people. The people of Kentucky here are just the nicest, most genuine, most sincere, good-hearted people I've ever met in my life. You know, the job in the media has taken me across the country. Following Kentucky has taken me across the country. And nowhere have I met a more good-hearted, sincere people than the people of Kentucky. And the people of Big Blue Nation, I've said it many times on the radio show, they are the first to lend a helping hand when one of their own needs it the most.
Yeah.
And we've seen it on the radio show. Yeah. When we say, you know, hey man, we're going to try to raise some money because a Big Blue Nation, you know, they need the help. Man, they respond like we've never seen. It's amazing. And to answer your question, I think that's what it is. I think it's just the people. There's just something about the people of this state. They're proud. They you know, we don't have a lot to hang our heads about high in this state. You know, we're usually at the bottom when it comes to employment. You're in the bottom when it comes to money, education. You look when they're ranked the 50 states. Kentucky's usually in the bottom 10 of everything. But by golly, if they had the top 10 or the top 5 of big hearts or sincerity or honest American values, Kentucky's up there. You know what I mean? That's what it's about.
And also great food. The Kentucky hot brown. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that's good stuff. So, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about KSR. We talked, it's one of the top rated sports talk shows in the country. At what point did you guys look at each other and like, holy cow, this thing is becoming way bigger than we ever thought it would?
There's been a couple pinch me moments. I think one of the first ones when we realized that I think one of the first times is when we were doing it was a post-game radio show, and our producer got in our ear, and it was a March Madness post-game show. I don't remember what year it was. It might have been the 2012 national championship year. And he told us, he said, "You guys right now are the number one streaming show of all the iHeart stations in the country. Every iHeart radio station in the country, and we were the number one streaming show in the country. Little bitty, teeny tiny WLAP post-game radio show." We're like, what? And now there's been times where like KSR, our morning show, has had a bigger audience, streaming audience, than Ryan Seacrest. You know, when we have like one of our big shows, and they get the streaming numbers, and and like there's been times we've been top 5, but usually Ryan Seacrest is like number 1 in the iHeart family. There's been a couple times we've even leapfrogged him. When it comes to downloads on the podcast, we're always like in the top of the iHeart family. So I don't have an answer for it, man. I don't know why. I can't explain it. It's Big Blue Nation, and it's guys like you that don't live here. It gives you a way to feel connected to Kentucky, to your roots. People that are in the military from here, that are overseas.
All right, fantastic. Drink break. Hey, Amanda.
I'm right here.
See, look, I told you could bring me on.
That's a good life right there.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
So that's
fantastic.
So I think to answer your question, when we knew we hit it big is when we were ranked in the top in the iHeart family. Maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago, somebody had these top sports shows in the country, and they do large market, mid market, small market, and then like we the first one we were like 13th, and then the next one we were like 7th, and I think last year we were like 5th of all the small markets. Like Dan Dockich is like number 1 in Indianapolis, and so we try to make fun of him. And then there's like a show in like I think like Columbus, Ohio, and like maybe one in Kansas City. And then there's little bitty KSR, Louisville. It's Louisville, and then we're like 5th. We're like, how does that happen, man? How does that happen?
Well, I mean, I think I saw the numbers where it was 180,000 listens just on the live feed. Like that's just
live listeners.
Yeah,
that doesn't count. The people that are listening on the app. The KSR app, that doesn't count downloads. I mean, it's amazing.
Now, we also have our podcast on iHeart, so can we consider ourselves colleagues?
Yes, we are. You guys can come to the Christmas party now next year.
That's fantastic.
All right.
There would be nothing that I would love more is to come to your Christmas party. Well, I think one of the things that helps is you guys really build a family. Like, I know Matt dogs you and you kind of play the goofy sidekick, but and Drew, he was in Charlotte one time it was a football game, I think it was. He was stopping in and going down to South Carolina, and my in-laws were, or my aunt and uncle were in town, and I really wanted to go drink with him at the bar because he tweeted out like I'm at the bar, anybody want to go? And I wanted to go, but they're like teetotalers. They don't drink at all. And I didn't want to be like, I got to abandon my family that's visiting to go drink with Drew. That was one of my greatest regrets in life, is to not be able to drink with Drew. But you guys are family, and you make the listeners feel like family. How do you do that, or does it just kind of click?
It's kind of like I said earlier. I think from day one, we've always just acted like we're just 4 guys sitting around having a drink. We're not, we don't have some fake radio voice. We're not trying to be some fake person. We're just trying to be real, as if we were just sitting around at McDonald's, having a cheeseburger, talking about, what stupid thing Donald Trump just said, or what TV show we watched last night, or or Matt making fun of me or something that I said. It's just try to be just natural and be real. Just four friends sitting around having a beer, talking about whatever. I think that's just kind of the philosophy, and I think that's what I think the listener appreciates it, gravitates towards it, whatever the right word is there. I think that's just something they can listen to. And then, like I said, I don't know why it works, but it just does.
Are there any lessons that you've learned that you wish you would have learned them earlier?
Oh, that's a great question. Because, like I said, I was in TV for so long, for 18 years, and they're two totally different elements, man. I mean, TV, I'm on the air for 3 minutes. I work all day to do a 3-minute sportscast, and then it's over. Radio.
Listen, by the way, Ryan, that sounds a lot like my honeymoon. Just saying.
Wait a minute. 3 minutes. My goodness. My honeymoon lasted 15 seconds.
I'm a champ. It was a lot of game film I had to watch beforehand.
And then sports talk radio, you're on the air for 2 hours and it's live the whole time. So, I mean, you've listened to the show. I've made mistakes. I've cussed on the air a couple of times and they've had to drop it, and I've said some stupid stuff, but, I had to learn, on this show, I'm second chair. Matt's first chair. I'm second chair. I had to learn my role. I think I know my role. I'm the doofy, dumbass sidekick. I think I know that role. We all have our role. That's a good question. What have I learned that maybe I would have known it earlier in my career? I don't know. Like I say, I did TV for so long. I'm going into my 9th year now of KSR. Wow. So, and I did TV for 18. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. For working with Matt for 9 years, what's been one of your proudest moments that you've had? You refer to him kind of as your kid. What's one of those that you just really are like, I'm really proud of that kid?
Well, I guess it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We had never done anything like this, but we did somewhat of a telethon in West Liberty after a tornado went through West Liberty, Kentucky, and we had a listener named Rose, and she called in one day and brought it up kind of on the air. She goes, you guys can maybe help us. We've had this devastating tornado. We need some help. Can you help us? And it kind of snowballed in. Well, why don't we take the show there and help maybe raise some money for this community? And it just kind of snowballed. We went, ended up, Coach Calipari ended up coming, and just on a whim ended up raising a lot of money for this community that desperately needed it. And I remember Matt and I both just kind of stepping back like, wow, man, we do have a platform here where we can make a difference. We had no idea.
Yeah.
We probably had 200 people show up that day, raised, I don't remember how much money, but I mean, it was a ton of money. Calipari came in, he made a huge donation. And I remember being very, very proud of all of our efforts that day. And that was the first time we had ever tried anything like that. And that I remember that was a proud moment for sure that day, that show.
Yeah. I think my proudest moment of you would be the KSR jail. Can you tell our listeners about the KSR jail and how that went down?
Well, it led to another proud moment.
Yeah.
But that came up where a guy, I think it was a caller on the show, there was some other dude or something. It came up where I think it was half court shots. Mm-hmm. If you had like maybe, was it 10 half court shots, and
one would give you $1 million,
maybe $1,000 for each one you made or something. If you made one, you got $1,000. But you missed them, you had to spend a year in jail. I don't know, something crazy.
It was like $1 million or something like that. Yeah,
$1 million. That's what it was. It was $1 million if you hit one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you missed them all, you had to spend a year in jail.
Yep.
That's what it was. And we just started talking about it, and it just ended up being this, okay, Brian, we're going to do something with you. And it ended up where we had these 5-foot putts. And for each putt, I was going to get, was it $100? I think it was.
Yep.
It was $100 if I hit a 5-foot putt. But for each one I missed, I was going to have to spend a night in this makeshift jail in our KSR restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, let's do it. Well, we talked it up for weeks and made this big, huge deal about it, and everybody was talking about it. Ended up so Matt's TV show, Hey Kentucky, did their whole show out on the golf course. We had all these people out there. We're ready to go. I was practicing, had a golf coach give me some tips, and I was ready. And during warm-ups, man, I'm hitting them all. I hit them. I was so hot. Matt even came up to me and like, hey, man, you got to miss at least one of these. Because we had this makeshift jail in the restaurant. But this guy made this jail.
Yeah.
We had all this set up. He goes, you have to miss at least one of these. You know that. Because I was just nailing them right and left. Well, of course, then it gets time for the tournament. For the contest. And the first one I hit true, hit it solid, and it lipped out. Okay, all right, no big deal. That happens. Second one, hit it true, dead on, it lips out the other way. So now I got 2 nights in KSR. Oh, 4 nights. That's right. It was 4. Each one I missed was 2 nights in jail.
That's right.
It was $100 if I hit it. Each one I missed was 2 nights. So that's 4 nights in jail.
Starting to get a little nervous.
Putter felt like it weighed 500 pounds. You know, everybody's watching me and everybody's laughing and clapping and the camera's on. And these 2 that I hit dead on, one lipped out on the right side, the other one lipped out on the left side. And that putter all of a sudden is now heavy. I hit the second one, it just barely misses. Now I got 6 nights in jail and I'm done. I mean, I'm mentally, I'm just, I'm done. That's 6 nights. 4th one, missed it really bad. I mean, really bad. 8 nights in jail. 5th putt, and everybody's like, going crazy. And Matt's like, okay, look, Brian, I can't do this to you. I can't do it. He moves it up to where it's like a 2-foot putt. It's from 5 foot to like 2 foot. And I missed it. So I missed all 5 putts, 10 nights in jail. And he gives my wife, he pulls her and goes, right here, Amanda, I'm going to let you save him. If you hit this, I'm going to take 2 nights off. Gives it to her. She missed it.
On purpose.
So they escort me off in jail. I got 10 nights in this jail in the restaurant. Had a cot. Everybody, ha, ha, funny, funny. But this is another proud moment.
Yeah.
We parlayed this where people were bringing in bail money to bail me out of jail. Matt said if we raised $10,000 that he would cut 4 days off my jail sentence. We had $10,000 within like 24 hours. I mean, it was unbelievable. Wow. We had a GoFundMe set up, and within 24 hours, we already had $10,000, just like that. It was unbelievable. I had a bucket in my jail cell. People were bringing in $100 bills and putting it in that bucket, and the GoFundMe was just going crazy. We ended up raising over $37,000 that we split between 3 different charities that I got to pick out, 3 that were very important to me.
Yeah.
One was the Keith Madison charity, because he takes baseball equipment down to Puerto Rico every year and teaches kids how to play baseball down there and takes baseball equipment. One was the Epilepsy Foundation, because Matt has epilepsy. And the third one was the foster care organization that helped me adopt my youngest son. So we split it up 3 ways, $37,000, just because I couldn't putt. We raised all that money. So, yeah, that was another very, very proud moment for me. Yeah. And I did spend all 6 nights in that jail cell, by the way.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. The haunted KSR, by the way.
There is a ghost in KSR.
100%.
Yeah.
What's the name of that?
Was there another bucket for something else besides money?
Well, I was supposed to stay in the jail, but I got to go out and use the bathroom. I got free beer. I got free food. I got to watch sports 24 hours a day.
Wow, you were really roughing it then.
Yeah.
What's the name of the foster care organization, Ryan?
CASA.
Can you spell?
Court Appointed Specialized Advocates. CASA. CASA.
CASA.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that we put all those links up on our show notes. So if anybody wants to donate for that, we would encourage you guys to do that. So, yeah, when you guys donated that money, and you could tell on the radio you were getting choked up, Matt was getting choked up, hell, I was getting choked up. I think all across Kentucky was getting choked up. That was my proudest moment of Ryan Lemon. That is one, and I've always known that, like, you've been that stand-up guy, but at that moment I was just like, wow, he's living it and talking it out. So I'm going to get choked up thinking about it, because I'm also a foster care parent, so I've got 2 kids.
Well, I heard you say that earlier. You had a foster kid, so I shout out to you, man. I appreciate that. There's a lot of kids across this country that need people like you, that need a parent and somebody just to hold them and give them a hug sometimes and look out after them until they can get on with their life. So I admire you, and God needs people like we need people like you.
I appreciate that. I'm not doing it for that. We call them Hot Pocket and Small Batch. If we knew that we were going to have 2 of them, we would have renamed them to Biscuits and Gravy, but we did not know that was going to be the case. What can you give us any behind the scenes KSR stories that you're not allowed to say on the radio while you take your drink?
Well, back in the day when we first got started, since you listen, there's always technical problems. But back in the day, there used to be a ton of technical problems. Our equipment has gotten a lot better. Mm-hmm. But back in the day when we go on the road, Matt wants to go on the road. He loves these remote shows. We go on the road a lot. But our equipment back in the day just was not what it is today. We used to have technical problems all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the time. And there were many, many shows where when we went on the air, it was by the grace of God that we got a signal, or we had electricity, or that we were able to connect with the radio station seconds before the show started. And the moments leading up to getting connected was usually Matt hollering and screaming on the phone with somebody back at the radio station, often in front of people that are there to see the show. Oh, wow. He's on the phone hollering and screaming to somebody, and then all of a sudden Shannon, the dude, or whoever the tech is, like, okay, we're connected, puts the phone out, and it's literally like, click, welcome to Kentucky Sports Radio. I'm Matt Jones. We're here in Glasgow, Kentucky. That happened a lot. Wow. I mean, a lot. Now, usually the listeners at home, never knew it.
Right.
Just us, or maybe the people sitting there knew that he was screaming like a madman seconds before going on the air. But that happened a lot.
Nice. Wow. Tell us about, you mentioned family earlier. Tell us about your family, your kids, and how you met Amanda and so on and so forth.
I have one son from my first marriage. He's 22 years old. He's adopted, and he lives in Atlanta right now. He's going to film school in Atlanta because he wants to work on movie sets. Pinewood Studios, just outside of Atlanta, they have a film school. Wow. And if you go to this film school, it allows you to work on the Pinewood movie studios where they make the Marvel movies. He wants to do that, work on the movie studios. So he's doing that right now. So he's my oldest son. He's 22. And Amanda and I both worked at WLEX together. Her desk and my desk were actually right beside each other. And so we were actually really good friends and flirted our butts off together for a long time before we were actually started dating. We were actually with other people. I was married and she was engaged. And then it just so happened I got a divorce, and she became single, and all of a sudden, we were already strong friends. Next thing we know, we're dating. It's just one of those, friendship. We were friends before we became boyfriend girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So we were, like I said, she was a tape editor at our TV station, then became a reporter. By the time we got married, she was a producer. She was one of my bosses. So my wife was one of my bosses, one of my producers at the TV station. So she was my boss there for probably 5 years, I think, before I ended up leaving Channel 18. Yeah.
Hot for teacher over there. How about you?
Boss at home.
How many promotions in that time?
Yeah.
What was that, producer Brian?
How many promotions did you get?
I got zero. Absolutely zero. Yeah. None.
Oh.
Wow.
So she and I, we adopted Michael, who is now 17. He's a junior in high school right now. And then we also adopted Josiah. We adopted Michael when he was 3, and he's 17. And we also adopted Josiah when he was 3 out of foster care. Michael was a foster child, and Josiah was a foster child, and he was 3. We adopted him, and he's now 13. And he's the one he's the basketball player. So he's a 7th grader right now. Yeah. So hopefully in a couple of years you'll be hearing more about him, and maybe Coach Cal will come to our house someday and talk to him.
How obviously you would be such a proud parent on that, but like, are you kind of already going through that in your head, like having those dreams of Cal showing up?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, he's legit pretty good. I mean, he plays on the best AAU team here in Lexington. We travel all over the place. I mean, he's good. So we want him to probably someday play in college. Now he may never play major college basketball, but hell, I played at Kentucky Wesleyan. I'd be happy if he'd play, at EKU or Western or at Kentucky Wesleyan someday, just to have that opportunity to play somewhere someday. So
sure.
How
disappointed?
I forgot I got my Kentucky Wesleyan shirt on today. Shout out!
Go Cats!
There you go.
Yeah. How disappointed would you be if he decided to go to Duke or North Carolina? Would you disown him?
We're going through that just a little bit right now. One of my best friends is Dante Key, and his son is Dane Key, who is a major football recruit right now.
Yeah,
he's got offers. He's got like 14 Division I offers right now, including Kentucky. But he's got one from Louisville, and he really, really likes Louisville.
Is this scoop?
Well, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
And we've talked about it. I said, man, what if he picks Louisville? We've talked about, with Dante and his wife and me and Amanda and I, we've talked about it. And Dante played at Kentucky. I should have said that.
Yeah.
Dante, his dad, my friend, played at Kentucky. His son really likes Louisville. What if he picks Louisville? As we've talked about, we got to support him. We have to support him for 4 years. Regardless, I have to support him. I have to go to his games at Louisville. I have to sit in the Louisville side. I have to support him at Louisville for 4 years.
Will you commit?
So if my son goes to Duke, I'm going to be a Dookie for 4 years. I will be a Dookie.
Will you commit to at least wear a UK shirt under your Duke shirt?
I can do that.
Balance it out.
I promise you I can do that. I can wear a UK shirt under my Duke shirt, but for 4 years, you're going to see me yelling and hollering and like a madman for Duke if my son is playing for Duke.
My co-host, he's not here tonight. He's traveling. He is a huge Duke fan.
Yeah.
And my pastor is also a Duke fan. I live in North Carolina, so what do you expect? I keep reminding them, you can't have Duke without UK. You can't spell it. And so, they don't have any rebuttal for that. So I'm like, boom, drop the mic and walk away.
Yeah.
Why did you guys decide to adopt? Like, and you can get as personal or not as personal as you want, but why the foster care adoption route?
Well, for Amanda and me, she grew up in a children's home in Barberville. And so that's why it was important for her. She wanted to definitely be a foster family and wanted to adopt. And I'm like, I'm all for it. I've already have one adopted child. And so I'm definitely pro adoption. So we try to be advocates for it. We've talked to a lot of families and people have approached us. They've heard our story, and we're always, we're 100% pro foster family and pro adoption. So her story is very powerful. So I like to let her tell it, but her story is incredibly powerful. How she ended up in the children's home and how she grew up.
Mm. Do you think maybe we can have, just as a side note, can we have Amanda on the show?
Oh yeah,
to tell the story. I think that would be great.
Yeah, she would do it, because it's amazing how she has survived and how she's grown up and the person she's become. I mean, I'm super proud of her, and to hear her tell the story, you guys will be you'll be amazed. Really, few people know it, and once you hear the story, you're like, wow. It's like it's a Hollywood story, really. Yeah.
Not like Tiger King, hopefully. So that different. You've got such a great heart, and you've talked about it several times on the show, and we'll wrap up as soon as we can. I don't want to take too much of your time, but how has your faith helped you through this? You've talked a lot about it on the show. You talked about it here. How has your faith helped you through your career, through your life, through your journey?
That's a good question. I grew up, my parents and we grew up going to a little bitty, teeny tiny church in Indiana. When I mean little bitty, I mean a big crowd at our church was 25 people, 30. I mean, it was little bitty country church. And often my mom and dad were the two youngest adults in the crowd. I mean, it was just a little tiny country church. Mm-hmm. But we would always go, and church was just always important in my family's lives. And I think I just learned at an early age that we don't always know the path that God has laid out for us. God knows the path we're supposed to go down. We don't know it, but He knows it. And I just kept seeing that, and as I grew older, like I always thought I was supposed to go this way. And I always felt like God was laughing at me. Like, no, Ryan, what do you think? You're going to go this way.
Yeah.
I always knew. I knew I was going to be a basketball player. No, I ended up being a baseball player. I knew I was going to go to Murray State and play baseball. Nope, I ended up going to Kentucky Wesleyan. At Kentucky Wesleyan, set me on a path. I knew I was going to be a state police officer. Nope, I ended up going into communication. Ended up going into TV. Ended up going to Lexington, ended up here, just I just, too many things have happened in my life to lead me to where I am today. That is, my faith has just grown stronger and stronger as I've gotten older. And I just know it's because of my following that path that He's laid out for me.
Yeah. I remember being a senior at Campbellsville, and, they have the little dam there in Taylor County. And I remember saying, I'm a senior, I should at least have a girlfriend. I'm a big guy, so, there's the draw there. I was beating women off with a stick. And I was like, I should have a girlfriend by now, all this stuff. And I was out there in the dam. I remember, it's a dam built of rocks. And I remember very clearly God said, son, do you not know that I can make your wife out of these rocks? And at that moment, I was just like, yes, sir, I trust you. I believe you're going to do what you're going to do. And I've also tried to follow that same path of, God, wherever you lead, you'll go. Or I'll go. So I totally get that. Appreciate you sharing that.
That's another talk about the adoption also.
Sure.
When we spoke at our church, maybe about a year ago, it was they have what they call it, Orphan Sunday. And I stood up and I said, I hate that term. I don't know why we call it Orphan Sunday. Orphan makes it sound like, you don't have a family. Why don't we call it Adoption Sunday? Adoption sounds like, you have a family. And I wrapped up my speak with saying something like, my problems with not being able to father a child on my own and going through adoption may be the greatest gift God has ever given me, because it gave me my 3 sons that I have now. is my perfect family.
Sure.
I didn't know my path was going to end up going through adoption. God did, and I sure am glad it did. It went that way. He knew all along that these 3 boys needed me as much as I needed them.
Yeah.
So
that's powerful, man. I appreciate you saying that. And honestly, at the end of the day, are we all not adopted?
It's true.
At the end of the day, we're all adopted kids.
Yeah.
Ryan, I, by contract, have to ask you this question. It's a sponsored question of the week by Watchman Cigars. How do you make meatloaf, or do you have any meatloaf recipes?
I don't have any meatloaf recipes, but my wife does.
Okay. Does she use breadcrumbs or any type of crumb breading in it?
I think she uses crackers.
Okay. Let it be said, let it be done.
There we go.
All right.
It's another scratch on the chalkboard.
Is that good? Is that the right answer?
That's the right answer. We have a Do you smoke cigars, Ryan?
I don't. No,
okay.
I don't.
We have a guy that Uncle Leon. That'll add to our bingo list.
That's a bingo square.
Square. Uncle Leon makes cigars, and he doesn't. All he does is get the hamburger and patties, just puts it in a loaf. You can't see. Puts it in a loaf.
It's got like onions and peppers or something in it, I think. But it's just there's no bread, there's no egg, there's no crackers.
And so
it's become a thing.
He's a sponsor of the show, and he keeps wanting us to ask all of our guests, do you put breadcrumbs in it? And evidently everybody has said yes so far. So he's a moron.
Yeah,
so there's that.
Yeah.
He can make cigars
and crackers.
Okay, so he can make cigars. He cannot make meatloaf. There it is.
Yeah, that's
true. We're also going to bring back a segment that we call 10 in 1. We're going to ask you 10 questions in under a minute and see if you can get it.
Oh, I love this stuff. I'm ready. This is good.
All right. I think you'll enjoy this. Here we go. You ready? Start the clock. Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's?
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
In a heartbeat. On a scale of 1 to 10, how scared of you are murder hornets?
1.
Okay. If you could be anywhere right now, where would it be?
On the beach in Florida.
What's your favorite food at KS Bar?
The catfish.
After all this is over, will you give us an embarrassing Bermuda story?
I've never been to Bermuda.
Okay. Favorite place in Kentucky?
Owensboro.
If you could do anything as a career, what would you do right now?
I would be a sports radio host in Lexington.
Who is the most famous person in your phone right now?
Marty Brenneman.
Peanut butter, smooth or crunchy?
Definitely smooth.
Everybody has a spirit animal. What is your spirit food?
Oh, chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, producer Brian, did he get it?
Nice. Yes.
Well done, sir. Well done. Good job. Awesome. Everybody wants to know the embarrassing Bermuda story from, I think, what year was it where everybody went down to Bermuda?
Bahamas.
The Bahamas.
The
Bahamas. Yeah. Can you tell that story?
Well, I wasn't there. I didn't go.
But you know.
But I know the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a scoop. Can we say it?
Well, I mean, how it's kind of rated X.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, as long as we don't say dirty words, I think we're okay.
Let's just say that on the side of the pool, 2 porn star. I mean, they were known porn stars. Were doing porn star things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the players were all there.
Yeah. The players had just come from practice, and they all went straight to the pool to cool off.
Sure, they did.
Pool to cool off, and they walked to the pool, and these 2 ladies were busy.
How about you? They were having some hello time, as we call it on the show.
Yeah.
By themselves.
And the story I always heard is that Calipari turned and saw it and I'm out of here, and immediately left.
And you can see Cal do that, right?
Yeah.
He acknowledges it, but then immediately goes to the other side.
Yeah. Like immediately left.
Wow. Ryan Lemon, I can't tell you how thankful I am and grateful that you were able to spend some time with us. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad it finally worked out and we got to do it. So yeah, I know we've given you guys a shout out on the show before, so I appreciate you listening. I know it's got to be tough to be a UK fan down there in North Carolina, so keep fighting the good fight, my man.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Have a good one. All right, so I had my weatherman moment. Did I freak out too much having Ryan on? Did I do okay?
I thought you did great.
Yeah, you did just fine. Yeah.
I was so nervous. I get so starstruck. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought it went fine. It was good. You guys, I felt like I was like third wheel there a little bit. So
I apologize. And just to let our listeners know, on the side, I was texting Brian, be like, if you guys have any questions, just let us know. Yeah. Let me know, because I just I had I can show.
You started doing your homework on this. I know for sure.
I had questions.
I think Friday, like we record on Thursday nights. Last Friday, you started sending stuff about tonight, and that's not usually how we roll around here.
No,
we start sending stuff out 3 hours before the show starts. We start prepping, so
because we prepare.
I knew Biggun was excited about this one, but I'm not a college guy. I'm not a college sports guy.
Right.
So,
yeah, and Ryan talked about like they're a sports show, but they don't really talk about sports, and it really, I mean, they do talk about Kentucky basketball, and I think that's a good chunk of the draw. But there is stuff that they talk about. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we hear on the show. This is between us,
sure,
because nobody's listening. Most of the stuff that we talk about on this show, I hear from Kentucky Sports Radio, and I'm like, that's an interesting topic. I want to know what these guys think about it. So, like, I'll listen to the show and be like, oh, that's a good topic, and then I'll write it down and say, let's talk about that.
Yeah, there's no original ideas, except Cheetos flavored pork rinds.
There you go. That's perfect right there. So yeah, I've listened to these guys so long that they really are like family, and so yeah, I was really excited.
That's funny you say that, because I have things that I listen to, and I feel like I know the people I'm listening to.
Right.
But if I saw one of these people, like another podcaster or something I've been listening to for a decade, if I saw them in a place, would I freak out? I'm not the kind of guy that usually freaks out about people no, I mean, because podcast famous isn't real famous, surprisingly.
Right. But this is like radio
famous. Yeah, apparently they're bigger than Ryan Seacrest. Which is something. Wow.
And we'll even promote this, and we'll put maybe a link on the show notes, is they have a restaurant called KS Bar. Their radio show is so big that it necessitates its own eatery.
Sure.
They have KSR, Kentucky Sports Radio, and then they have KS Bar, which is KS Kentucky Wildcat themed bar. They have giant TV screens everywhere, and they have really good food.
Is it the equivalent, the local equivalent of like those ESPN bars you see around in like major tourist cities?
Yes.
That's Kentucky Sports instead of national.
Right. It's got Kentucky like memorabilia all over the place. And honestly, and it's one of those things that I'm in Lexington, like I'm stopping at KS Bar. I'm stopping in a couple distilleries around the area. But KS Bar is a stopping point for me because I really enjoy their food. They have a special beer called Shannon the Dude Brew. Their producer Brian, his counterpart is Shannon the Dude.
Oh.
That's their producer, so they have a Shannon the Dude Brew, and that's his craft brew. And I love that beer.
How do I get a drink named after me? What do I have to do?
This is now claimed producer Brian whiskey.
Better yet, I need a custom blend from Uncle Leon.
Oh,
the producer, like that. Would that be a?
Oh,
that'd be like a.
I'm gonna add that to my show.
Scratch off of his signature. That'd be nice.
What if we all had cigars?
You get like the Biggun could be like one of those short, fat ones, right?
Thank you, I appreciate that. Mojo's would be what? What would Mojo's be? The short, fat one.
I don't know. I feel like it's got to have like a tequila age or something, or some kind of just because of the name, but
yeah,
something crazy, or.
the Magic Man is going to obviously have scrambled eggs in it,
cheese.
so there's that.
Yeah. We have a cheese and we need an omelet infused cigar, Uncle Lee. I know you're listening to this. He's probably listening right now on this live stream.
He may be. Do we have any chat things that we need to bring up before we wrap it up?
Tori Allman says hello. That's about it.
Hey, Tori, appreciate you tuning in. So listen to these guys. These guys go from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock every Monday, Wednesday, or every day of the week, from 10 to 12. Also, this is how bad it gets, guys. On game day, I listen to KSR. If it's on a Wednesday, say Kentucky has a game on Wednesday, I'll listen to 2 hours of KSR. Then they have a pregame show which starts 2 hours before the game, so I'll listen to that. And then they have a postgame show, so I'll listen to that. There's days where I've literally listened at least 4 hours of KSR, and even more sometimes. So it's bad. I really enjoy these guys, so that's where my love of KSR comes from.
Sure, man. It's cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. We didn't do this at the beginning, but if you do not know where to listen to the podcast and you're watching on Facebook Live or YouTube, southernfriedphilosophy.com or any of the your podcast aggregates, or the other way around, if you listen to the podcast and you want to watch us live, check out Facebook or YouTube Live. Magic Man, are there any other places that they can watch us, or is it just Facebook?
Just Facebook and YouTube at the moment.
So speaking of YouTube, if you're watching on one of these streaming platforms, if we can get to just 100 subscribers, we can actually get youtube.com/SFP radio as a handle. That's the magic number, is 100 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're watching on stream, if you're just watching on the if you're listening on podcasts, just hop over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. It'll help us out a little bit. We may even end up putting some content out there. If we ever make it to Kentucky for a bourbon tour, there could be some video content there.
There's that.
That's a way now, but
yeah, I mean, we had one scheduled coming up, but we had to cancel it because of the corona.
Because everything's canceled. It's canceled.
Everything's canceled. The distilleries, which you would think the distilleries would be a good place to sanitize.
Place.
They know how to sanitize.
Everything's sterile, right? It's all high-proof alcohol.
I guess they don't want you touching each other. That's the problem. Well, guys, thank you again for tuning in to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. And as always, keep looking up.